Mary Ullman Jaffet, and very glad that all of you could join us today. Thank you very much for your presence. We're here today to tell you the story of yet another opportunity where San Antonio did what San Antonio does best, and that's come together to solve a problem. And I'm going to kick it off right now by introducing the chairman of Community Labs, former CEO and chairman of Rackspace Technology, and chair of the 80/20 Foundation, Graham Weston.
I think the speakers go maskless. Is that right? Okay. So it's great to have you all here, and thank you so much for your coverage of this important event. You know, I was really lucky to have been asked by the governor to be part of the COVID strike force, and then just right after that, right before that, I had gotten COVID myself, and I got COVID from my son, and my son was asymptomatic. So what happened was, throughout the COVID time, this idea of COVID spreading through asymptomatic spreaders, silent spreaders, I like to call them, this always weighed on my mind. And what happened was, the problem is testing to find asymptomatic spreaders is just not practical if a test takes a week to get, if you do a COVID test and it takes a week to get the test back. I mean, I have a friend who got a test back in 8 days, right? If you're trying to find people who have COVID who don't know it, an 8-day test is worthless. So this idea of having a high-scale, high-speed COVID lab was on my mind. I especially got this idea through a group of scientists who gave advice to states and countries around the world. These scientists, including the Broad Foundation, in Boston, explained how asymptomatic testing can be a very effective tool until we have a vaccine. Asymptomatic testing, it's also called assurance testing. The idea is to go through the population and population of people who don't have the disease and find those who actually have the virus silently. That's the idea of assurance testing. So most of the time we think about testing being used to determine or diagnose if you have a disease or have a virus. This is used to test people who don't think they have a virus. And if we did that to everyone in the room here today, we'd probably find 1 or 2 people with the virus who didn't even know it. When that happens, we can let the people with the virus go home. And the rest of us know that we're with people who've tested negative. That's what assurance testing is and why it's so powerful. And so this got under my mind, and I realized that going through the commercial labs was not working because of the test turnaround time. So the natural answer is, let's create a lab here in San Antonio. And our lab is Community Labs. And it's called the Community Lab because it's here to serve our community first. And this lab is going to have turnaround time of less than a day, and it's going to have 12,000 tests per day capacity, and that might even get bigger. So this story really is all about the people who I called to make this happen. And we're going to hear from all of the people, or a fraction of the people who were called into duty, and this would not be possible without each one of these people in this organization. You know, this includes BioBridge Global, which is the parent company of the blood bank. This is where we are right now. They are the ones who provided all of the scientific expertise on how to do the testing lab. Also, the medical school. Is Dr. Kinney here? Would you raise your hand? There you are. There she is. And Dr. David. That is, we would not have been able to get our validation of the lab without their help. They've burned the midnight oil to help us. And then also the funding partners, the Tobin Endowment and Bruce Bugg, and Tullis Wells and the Kronkosky Foundation. So we all got together to bring us to where we are today. And from the very first, I want to recognize the first person I called at the blood bank is Richie Wyatt. Richie, where are you? So Richie, when was the date that I first texted you?
So I actually pulled up my text here, and sorry to belabor this. It was on June 22nd at 6:47 walking out of the gym, and Graham, who I've known for a very long time, texted me and said, "Yo, talk a sec. Are you all doing any COVID testing?"
Okay. So that was the very first contact. What was the date?
That was on June 22nd at 6:47 p.m.
So that was the very, very beginning when we contacted BioBridge Global. And so here we are a matter of weeks later. I think we've, and I love the fact that we've really done the impossible. We've done what, in a matter of weeks, what many would say take a year. And I think the reason we work so hard to do that is because that's how serious COVID is. We all know people who've died. We know people whose businesses are affected. We know people who are without jobs. So it was that level of urgency that really we needed a lab that quickly. And so thank you to BioBridge, and thank you to Richie. Thank you to Marty, the CEO, as well, because we're going to hear in a minute from all the people who brought this lab together to create this launch today. Community Labs has two purposes. One is to stop the spread in San Antonio, and secondly, we hope to inspire other cities, other communities to do the same. We've actually learned a lot through the struggles of the trial and error of this process, and we would love to share what we have learned with other cities. In fact, we're already talking to a number of cities interested in creating their own labs. I think this is the newest and probably the largest dedicated COVID lab in the country. And we hope that there will be many others spring up in the months ahead. So I'd like to introduce my co-founder, Bruce Bugg.
I too will unmask. Good afternoon. It's a real opportunity to be able to be here, and it's an opportunity to help our fellow citizens, not only in San Antonio, but Tullis Wells, Graham Weston, and I have come together because we believe that what we are trying to accomplish here in San Antonio can be replicated and grow not only in San Antonio, but throughout the entire state of Texas and indeed the entire United States. I know those are big, lofty words, but let me kind of share with you why I believe those lofty words are achievable. They're eminently achievable because the three of us have come together. You heard a little bit of the story from Graham. Graham had his own personal experience. He asked me to meet with him and Tullis Wells. As we started talking, Graham's idea morphed into what we call a public-private partnership, where we knew that we wanted to bring our philanthropic backgrounds to the fore here. And what we're using is our philanthropic dollars to de-risk this model. What is the model? The model is what Graham identified. Working in partnership with BioBridge and all the resources here, what we're doing is we're bringing, it's not a new test, and our lab has been FDA accredited, and the doctor will speak to that in just a minute. So it's not something new, it's something new the way we're going about it. And as we know, the roadblock for testing for COVID-19 throughout the entire United States has been because there are limited kits available, and they're only going after people that are showing symptoms of COVID-19. What we're doing is we're going the exact opposite. We're coming up with large-scale ability to conduct assurance testing for asymptomatic folks that don't even know that they have the COVID-19. And asymptomatic people are spreading about 50% of the cases for COVID-19 throughout the entire United States. That's where we're addressing it. We're going the opposite direction. We're not waiting for people to show signs of COVID-19. We're going the opposite direction, and we're going to people that are asymptomatic, silent spreaders, if you will, and doing assurance testing. The reason why I am personally very excited about this opportunity, as I said, it's not only for the community, and the three of us, as you know, Graham and Tullis and I have tried to band together and do a number of projects to help the San Antonio community. This one is larger than anything we've ever taken on. This is, in fact, the opportunity, and I think this word has been overused many times, but I believe what we are launching today in San Antonio, Texas, has the opportunity to be a game changer for this whole race to eradicate COVID-19. And so our philanthropic dollars are being used to de-risk the model. We have been working with Governor Greg Abbott, and I was appointed along with Graham to the strike force to reopen Texas. And that's all about COVID-19 and how can we get back to normal in the state of Texas. I believe strongly enough that what we are doing is going to be successful, and we're de-risking the model so that we can, our goal and our hope is to hand this to Governor Greg Abbott and let the entire state of Texas use and replicate the technology that we are developing here in San Antonio. And then we call it community labs because we hope that other communities throughout the entire United States will call on us, and we're actually being totally transparent. It is a nonprofit. We're doing this for the good of the community and the good of the people of Texas and the United States. And it's my honor to be partners with Graham Weston and Tullis Wells. And at this time, I would like to invite Tullis Wells to come up to the podium. Tullis, as you know, is the Managing Director of the Kronkowski Charitable Foundation. Thank you.
I will be brief, although those who know me won't believe it. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Graham. One of the blessings of San Antonio is when we decide to do things together, we're really good at it. When we decide to go our own ways, frankly, we're not very good at it. This is as good an example of bringing people together that I have witnessed in a long, long time here in San Antonio, and doing it for what we believe at Kronkowski is by far the most consequential thing we will ever invest in the 25-year history of the foundation. We always start these kind of projects with someone like Graham Weston. If any of you here have had much success in saying no to Graham or saying no to Bruce, please see me after the press conference, because these are two guys to whom I would never say no. I look around the room at the other partners, and there really are too many partners to recognize, but I want to echo what Bruce said. UT Health has been a terrific partner in this. Dr. Kinney, who had nothing obviously to do in her day job running all of their research, has given yeoman service with Dr. David and others from UT Health. And obviously the BioBridge folks, as you know, are the critical partner in this effort. So we've been blessed to have a lot of folks jump into this. As Bruce said, there were a lot of ways we could have done this. We had public money suggested. We have other corporate money suggested, and even suggested maybe we should look at this, doing this on a commercial basis, which we more or less politely declined, because what we're about is what Graham and Bruce said. We are about making sure that our community is safe so that kids can go to school, parents can go to work, and we can open up this economy again, as the governor wants to do, in as safe a manner as has been done anywhere. And we will probably sort of set the standard once we get this scale to where we need it to be. This will be one of those things, for those of you who are longtime San Antonio folks, this will be one of those things that will be spoken about years from now, and it will remind me of the old slogan, we are doing what most people think just happens. This is going to happen because of the collaboration, because of the leadership that have come together on this. And we're pleased to have a chance to announce it to all of you here today. So thanks so much for being with us today. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Bedard, who's the Chief Medical Officer for BioBridge Global and the true rock star of the effort we've undertaken here.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure I'm a rock star. I do know that my team is a rock star. So I just want to make that clear. It's not me that has made this happen. It is my entire team. And I can't say anything more than thank you guys so much for being such an awesome team. So I want to start a little bit on why BioBridge Global. We heard that they came to us with this proposition back in June, and I'm sure everybody's wondering why BioBridge Global. So let me tell you why. So BioBridge Global has had a long history, 46 years to be precise, of serving the healthcare community and advancing medicine. And in that time, our mission has always been to save and enhance lives through the healing power of human cells and tissues. Now, part of that mission is to make sure that those cells, tissues, all of those donated products are safe for the recipients. How do we do that? We test, and we do a lot of testing. This year, we are slated to actually release 60 million test results in 1 year. So I just want to make sure that that made it into everybody's mind. 60 million tests. So high throughput testing, high quality, fast turnaround testing. In addition, as part of that testing, we actually do PCR testing for a lot of different viruses. And those viruses, we test for DNA, we test for RNA. It's the exact same technology that's used for PCR COVID testing. So when you think about it, here we are with the capabilities, the core competencies, the expertise to be able to handle high throughput testing on the scale that really these guys were challenging us to get to. And so that's why BioBridge Global was chosen to be this partner. When I say that we were chosen to be the lead partner, we're not the only partner. There's a lot of people, innumerable collaborators that have helped us along the way. And Marcia Kinney, and Dr. David, you guys have been so invaluable. Your time, your effort, your expertise, your scientific knowledge have made it possible to get to the finish line. And I can't say that more. I know everybody has said that, but I've been on phone calls with these guys every week, and I know how much they've contributed, and I just want to say a personal thank you to that. The test itself that we're deploying is not a new test. It's not something that we came up with on our own. We took a test that's tried and true. This is an assay that Thermo Fisher Scientific got their emergency use authorization, and I'm not going to remember the date, but it was back in March of this year. So this is a tried and true assay that has been used widely throughout the country, worldwide, actually. And we are taking that assay and we are repurposing it to use them in asymptomatic folks. So I don't want people thinking that we somehow made a new test. We didn't. We just took an existing test that works really well and we're using it in asymptomatic folks. And I would just say from here, it's been a wild ride. I don't know any other way to put it. We've worked diligently to bring this assay up. We're hoping to get to 10 to 12,000 by November. I hope that sinks into everybody's mind. I mean, that's high throughput, high quality testing at its best. And I just hope that we can even get to even more in the future. Graham and I kind of go back and forth on numbers, but we challenge each other because that's what we do in San Antonio. We collaborate, we challenge each other, and we solve those problems. Thank you. And I'd like to, sorry, go ahead. And I'd like to bring Dr. Sal Hinojosa. He's the superintendent of Somerset ISD and one of our very first partners, so thank you so much.
Thank you. And again, I do have our Mayor of Somerset, Ms. Livia Hernandez, here with us this morning. Somebody asked me yesterday, why are you doing this? Why mass testing? And for us, it's very easy. We need kids in the classroom so that they can learn. When I talk to my colleagues, especially across southern Bexar County, less than half of the students are actually in the classrooms. Parents have selected the virtual option. When you look at the more affluent areas, you have 70, 80, even 90% of students actually in class today. So we feel this is a game changer for us. Why do we have less than half? It's a fear factor. Early this year, we had some football tryouts, had 200 kids present during the summer. We had one coach who tested positive. The word spread like wildfire, and the next day, we had 25 students present, and we were never able to get over that hump. So the way you overcome this fear is that you ensure that everybody who's at school is negative. Okay, of course, we can't ensure that every day, but we can suppress it. And this test, which I actually did yesterday, is non-invasive. Kids are actually going to be able to administer it themselves. There's actually a video posted on our Somerset website to show an example how the test is actually administered. So we feel that it's going to present a comfort level to our students, to our parents, and our community. I want to thank Mr. Weston and all the donors who are helping us in this endeavor and keeping our community safe. We know that's what the goal is, along with having our students back in class. This morning, I did send an email out to many of our teachers, apprising them of what we're going to do, and within 30 minutes, I had no less than 10 emails to say thank you. Thank you for taking this leadership role for what you're doing. The anxiety level, as far as we're concerned, has just gone down because we know that Somerset ISD is going to be safer for our teachers and for our students. So again, thank you to everybody.
Well, thank you all for being here. Thank you to our founders, of course. Thank you, Dr. Hinojosa. Thank you, Dr. B. This is terrific. Again, what we say is true. In San Antonio, we come together solving problems, and this is about the best example I can think of. So for our friends in the media, all of our speakers will be available for one-on-ones. Right now, I will tell you, Dr. Hinojosa is going to have to leave pretty soon, so he should probably be your first target. And Mary Ulig and her comms team here at BioBridge Global and I are happy to facilitate in any way we possibly can. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate it.